This is another weather update. In this update, we're going over the severe weather outbreak expected tomorrow in the south. Also, some severe weather expected alongside that later tonight. But severe weather outbreak, the big day tomorrow, tornado risks, big damaging wind threat, all the details in this video. So let's get right into it right now. Looking here at the composite reflectivity, this is going to tell us where our storms are going to pop up. So we're looking here late Tuesday into Wednesday. We see those storms over here in Kansas into Oklahoma. I'm not going to be able to do a full in-depth forecast on the severe weather expected later tonight, but we do have a slight risk posted from the severe weather from the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, and this includes Des Moines, Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Omaha. So we did have a very big slight risk of severe weather for later tonight. We are expecting some storms to pop up, and some could be tornadic. That's why we have a 5% risk of tornadoes, 15% risk of wind, and also a 15% risk of hail. So mainly tornado and wind threat, but your general severe weather is what we're expecting. It's not even going to be close to what we're expecting tomorrow. Tomorrow we are expecting a big severe weather outbreak, and that's what we're going to get into looking here at the composite reflectivity. So as we go into early Wednesday here, we see this mostly become a line of storms and going through Kansas City, Columbia, Missouri, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and it really does become a squall line of storms here. When I'm talking about a squall line, I'm talking about this type of line of storms here. And this shows that we have some very damaging winds, and it's moving very fast this way, and we're going to have those straight line, very, very damaging winds, especially here on the middle part of this squall line. On the southern side, we have that tornado risk. So right here, with those individual supercells there on the back of the squall line and in front of the squall line, that's where we're going to have that tornado risk. So as we go into mid-Wednesday here, by midday on Wednesday, we see that line of storms go through St. Louis. Places north of St. Louis could even get on those storms. So this northern section up here, just expect some straight line damaging winds. We're not expecting too big of a severe weather risk. You're only in a slight risk, so the slight risk really extends only up to here. It does include St. Louis right here, so St. Louis, just be cautious today. Be weather aware because we are expecting a line of storms to come through around 12 p.m. tomorrow. So especially down here in the middle part of this squall line and in the southern part of the line, that's where we're going to have our biggest threat for severe weather. So as we keep going on here with the composite reflectivity, as it goes through Memphis, St. Helena, Arkansas, into Baton Rouge and Alexandria, Shreveport, Louisiana, northern Louisiana here, into Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. That's when we're expecting the storm to be at its strongest. Really, I think the biggest threat is straight line damaging winds with this storm. So you can see as it goes through, it is very strong. Those purples showing up, yep, those are very, very strong storms. Damaging winds and some tornadoes, especially on the southern side of this storm, is really going to be what we're going to have to watch out for here. But I do think damaging winds is going to be our biggest threat here as these storms come through. Now as they go into Alabama, they're still very damaging, but as they go into Georgia, that's when they kind of weaken out. We do have another threat for severe weather in Virginia, but I'll get into that on future updates, maybe over on Twitter. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for all those updates. But especially here into Mississippi and Tennessee, I think that's when we're going to see our biggest threat for severe weather. And then we also do have some storms here on the backside, but we're not expecting too much with those storms over here. But you can see this huge line of storms going all the way down from Indiana into Louisiana here. We can't really see southern Louisiana, but we'll talk about them here in a minute. I think this is going to be one of the biggest severe weather outbreaks of the spring here with this system. And we're going to see some hurricane force, maybe even winds, tropical storm force definitely. We could even see a weak tornado force winds with this. So just because we're not seeing the biggest tornado risk, I don't think, doesn't mean we don't have a huge severe weather event expected. I think Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, you guys need to be high alert for this upcoming storm tomorrow. We are expecting some damaging winds and tornadoes very concerning setup with this one. So let's first, well, we already looked at the severe weather expected on Tuesday. Let's look at what we're expecting tomorrow. So we have a moderate risk, as you can see, in these areas of severe weather. So this includes Memphis, Alexandria, Mobile, Jackson, Tennessee. Yeah, like I said, Memphis, Greenville, Mississippi here, and Jackson, Mississippi. We do have that moderate risk of severe weather. Outside of that, we have an enhanced risk, and of course, outside of that, we do have that slight risk. So let's turn off the cities here so we can really see here. So you can see St. Louis is in that slight risk. Areas like Central Tennessee here are in that slight risk. But I really think that moderate risk zone and that enhanced risk zone is where we're going to see that biggest threat for severe weather and those winds, those strong winds, and those damaging tornadoes, especially on the southern side of the storm. That's where I think the biggest threat for tornadoes is going to be. The middle part of the storm, so let's say middle areas of Mississippi into Memphis, southern Tennessee here, that's where we're going to see our biggest wind threat. Southern part of the storm, that's where we're going to see our biggest tornado threat. So let's look at the tornado threat, and you can see we have a 15% risk here. I think they could move this a little bit farther south, and it is a little much here. I think we could see some embedded quick spin up tornadoes. And especially on that southern line of storm, we could see some pretty significant tornadoes. But of course, the Storm Prediction Center knows more than me, so I'm trusting them on this one. We do have a hatch risk, and this basically means probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a given point, and 10% or greater probability of EF2 or EF5 tornadoes within 25 miles of a given point. So this means the hatch risk, really all the hatch risk means is that we have a big threat for tornadoes, and those tornadoes could be damaging and big. So it's saying that we have a big threat for damaging tornadoes in that 10% and 15% areas. But as we look here at the wind threat, this is really what's going to be the showstopper here. This is going to be the big event we're expecting with that storm. We have a 45% risk of wind here. This includes Memphis, Greenville. Basically, the places including the moderate risk have that 45% chance of damaging winds, and we do have that including Memphis, New Orleans, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, and Montgomery, Alabama. That's where we're going to be expecting that biggest wind threat. As those storms come through, they are going to pack a punch. Even though they might not be tornadic, they are going to be very windy storms. They are going to be having very strong winds. So Memphis, Greenville, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, Alexandria, Mississippi, Birmingham, Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville, all of these areas in these risk zones need to be very, very weather aware tomorrow. Maybe change your plans, because we're going to see some very strong storms come through tomorrow, and you're going to be not happy that you weren't prepared for this. So make sure you're getting prepared. Make sure you tell everybody if you're down here that we do have that risk. And share this video with people if you want to, because we need to get this out to as many people as possible, because we do have a huge risk for severe weather tomorrow. So make sure, if you have any plans tomorrow down here that could be during the time these storms come through, make sure you maybe make those plans different, change those plans, because we have a big threat for severe weather, and that wind is really going to pack a punch as it comes through these areas highlighted right here. So we also do have that wind, that hail threat, but it's only a 5% risk, so it's not very big. So that wind and tornado risk is going to be the biggest here with this moderate risk of severe weather. So let's look right here. This is the big picture of what we're expecting with this storm. This is just the big picture. It's not very good resolution, but this is just the big picture of the United States and what we're expecting. You can see those storms coming through and that squall line develop. Again, not very good resolution here, but that is the big picture of what we're expecting here. And we could see some pretty heavy snow here into Wisconsin, Chicago, and Milwaukee there on the backside. Now that we're done with that, let's look at the significant tornado parameter. This is the last thing we're going to do before we get to the outro. This is one of the biggest aspects we're going to have to look at, though, because this southern side of the storm is going to be the most tornadic, the area that's going to be having the best chance for tornadoes, the best chance for those strong tornadoes, I think, and this is suggesting, is going to be the southern side of the storm. So again, like I said, that middle area right here, that's going to have the threat for straight line damaging winds, very, very damaging winds, and those very heavy downpours of rain, and those damaging winds, just your normal severe weather along with not your normal winds, very, very strong and damaging winds. But down here, I think that's where we're going to be seeing our biggest threat for tornadoes. So let's keep playing it out here. You can see in Louisiana especially, we're going to see those individual embedded supercells, those embedded supercells in the line of storms, and that's where we're going to have our biggest tornado risk. You can see we have anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe even areas getting up to 5 here on the significant tornado parameter. Also here into Mobile, Alabama, into southern Mississippi and Alabama, but especially I think southern Louisiana into the New Orleans area, I think, and Baton Rouge, that's where we're going to see our biggest threat for tornadoes on that southern side of the storm. So yeah, that's what we're expecting, a severe weather outbreak coming up tomorrow, as well as the severe weather coming later tonight. If you want to be kept updated on this, subscribe and go follow me on Twitter. If you want to get Twitter, you don't have Twitter, make sure you go follow me over there. I'm going to be posting updates all the time on what we're going to be expecting with this, the updates of the reports of what we're going to see, because I think we could see some pretty concerning pictures come out of this. So again, if you want to be kept updated on that, make sure you subscribe and go follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next one. We are expecting a severe weather outbreak tomorrow. Make sure you are weather aware if you're in those highlighted areas.